Guess what? We got a chance to speak to Natalie Holt, the Emmy-nominated composer of Loki. Check it out. I will say that season one had one of my favorite MCU soundtracks for Loki.
Oh, thank you.
Um, and I don't know if I'm way off course with this one, but I was getting Voyages, the Time Tunnel, even the OG British Avengers mood and vibes. And I was wondering, theremin aside, if those TV shows were go-to references for you in creating that sound.
Um, I have to say they weren't because I haven't seen them.
Did I just give away my age? Oh, great.
No. What was it? But there was a lot of, you know, listening through to Wagner and classical music. That was a big
Right.
one because Loki feels like such a kind of classical Shakespearean character. So that classical music reference was big. And then Kate's like a big sort of 50s B movie sci-fi fan.
Right.
So some of that feeding into it. I feel like we've drawn from all over the place. Like we maybe, yeah.
Cool, 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 cool. But when you are working on something like Loki, and you're coming into a character that is kind of established and iconic, and not just a character, but an actor as well. I was wondering where you start because I was curious about your process. Do you sit down and try and come up with a hook for him, the character and the actor, or do you go with what the story of the series is trying to tell you?
I think season two was more about the arc of the series because I'd sort of established the character themes in season one. And so coming onto the project, I was pitching for the project and with some other composers, and I just came up with the theme for Loki on the piano and I put that into my demo.
Right.
So the Loki theme just really came to me as I was walking down the street. And it's been, yeah, it just resonated and it stuck right from the beginning. But so yeah, I don't know if that explains things. And then Tom Hiddleston, when I met him, because I had a little part in season two, and I met him on set. And it was really good to chat to him because I was just kind of starting the score as he'd been filming for months and months. So it was really
Right.
nice. He just shared with me lots of his thoughts about what season two meant to him. And, and he gave me this book of poetry. So yeah, I feel like he really helped me sort of get into the story arc actually, which was amazing to have that creative relationship.
No, and what's interesting about Loki as a character, and it must have been fascinating and exciting for you, because I guess when you're crafting themes and you're doing something, it's easy when a character is heroic, like Obi-Wan, or then you've got Vader's theme. It's there are these dichotomies, right? But Loki is so complex. He's different from every movie to the other. And I was wondering when you were walking down that street and that theme hit, did you work out why it fits so well?
Yeah, I was just thinking about his character a lot, and he sort of revels in the badness. He's like mischievous, and it's cheeky, and it's sometimes dark, and it's sort of funny and sort of completely over the top. And so the Wagner, that's why that Wagner sort of line, flourish, it's got a lot of flair and flourish. And it just felt like, yeah, just having been able to watch his performance in all the Thor movies, yeah, it's just coming to read the script. It's like you know how Tom plays the character, you know what that looks like. So it was so great to sort of have that place to start off with the character before coming on and doing the music.
So unlike, I suppose, Obi-Wan or something like Star Wars, which has a very established sound, I think anyone watching the movies is subconsciously or consciously looking out for certain cues. Am I right in thinking that there is a lot more freedom to compose within something like the MCU because you get to craft your own path almost?
Yeah, definitely. I think that all of the historic heritage characters were within Obi-Wan Kenobi, and they all come with expectations of a sound and a theme. And Loki had had a theme before, but not like a real signature one that had stuck. So it was a bit more of an open goal to create something new for him. And the TVA was this new space, seeing how they've designed it. And they said to me, they were kind of like, we want to do something really different. And you don't have to listen to any other Marvel scores for this. Just do whatever you like.
And I'm trying to be incredibly professional and not geek out and ask you about John Williams, but can I? What was that like? Was that cool? Was that just nuts?
Yeah, well, it was really nuts because, he's the reason I got into film composing. I watched E.T. when I was 5 and just fell in love with those themes and heard them in my head afterwards. And I was like, I don't know. Yeah, he's the reason I got into film composing. And then to be writing something for Star Wars with him providing the main theme was just a dream.
Which let me tell you was another tremendous score, because going into that series as well, there is such a burden of expectation on the part of fans. And as I was watching it, I was completely enveloped by your music. And I thought, yeah, that was a very, very beautiful score. So yes, good job, you.
Very different from Loki.
Very different from Loki. We used the Imperial March for our wedding dinner. My wife acceded to allow me to use that, so that was quite exciting. But biggest difference, or if there was any difference between approaching season 1 and season 2, because obviously with season 1 you had to set up all of these musical cues all the way to He Who Remains, and season 2 just feels crazy, wacky, completely out there. Like every episode feels like a ride.
Mm-hmm.
So what was the biggest challenge for you, or differences for you, between composing for that first season and second? Was it easier given that you had set up all of these key components already?
Yeah, it was so nice to most of the team remained the same. And then, like the same music editor and head of music. And so I sort of would sit down to watch an assembly and all of my music was sort of already there. So it just feels like such a nice thing to kind of come back to something and then be able to come back to it and make it bigger and play around with it and make it darker and sort of continue to tell that story.
Was there anything weird and cool that you brought into season 2 or discovered that you wanted to really use?
Yeah, so I used a gong speaker with the theremin, so doing more unusual theremin effects. And Charlie, the theremin player, had brought a new theremin as well, so we sort of explored how weird you can make a theremin sound, I think, in this, and then I used radiation, sort of like a Geiger counter clicking because of the sound of the loom and the radiation it's giving off. So there's a Geiger counter sound in there. And then this idea I had of the Loki Sana poem, which is a sort of old Nordic text. And I just had this idea of this Loki being sort of called to his destiny by these whispering ancient voices. So we recorded in Iceland at Sigur Ros's Soundland studio.
Oh, wow.
With these Icelandic singers, and they were very accommodating with my
fantastic
strange requests. And we did some really out there sort of choral, like a huge choir in Vienna as well. And they were all whispering. And then episode 6 gets really choir. The choir goes to town. Just a lot more choral than season 1.
Oh, very, very cool. Thank you, Natalie. I'm all out of time, but no, it's absolutely brilliant. And I tell you, I lament shows that don't have theme songs, because it always used to get you in the mood. And whenever I hear that ticking clock at Loki, it makes me sit up. And so I love it when a show has a good theme song. So yes.
Oh, well, wait for episode 5 next week. The theme song disintegrates. You'll hear it disintegrate.
Oh my God, I can't wait. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
that was Natalie Holt, the Emmy-nominated composer of Loki. Season 2 is now streaming on Disney Plus and Disney Plus Hotstar. Let us know what you think. Sound off in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching.